Good evening and welcome back. Same news, different day. Police are forced to close Cowley Mile again as hundreds ignore local lockdown in Manchester to attend mass celebration of Afghan Independence Day. So, of course, we've seen it from the Pakistan Independence Day last Friday, and now we've seen it from the Afghan Independence Day last night. And there is a definite irony in these things, which is to say that Afghanistan is celebrating how it got rid of Britain just over 100 years ago in 1919. By pushing them back into India, essentially, after a few failed wars. But the third one seemed to do the trick. And so celebrating that independence. How's the independence worked out for them? Well, not so well. I mean, the reason for Britain getting entangled with Afghanistan in the first place was because of a fear of Russia. And although it was maybe over 100 years too soon, it does seem that there was actually a concern with Russia going into Afghanistan, as we saw in the Cold War. And following that, with influences from the ISI from Pakistan, of course, that's led to great turmoil that is still being suffered in Afghanistan today. Of course, then the Taliban getting involved as well, and the Mujahideen all the way through, just trying to assert their dominance and causing tens of thousands of deaths because of this. That as a country, as a nation on their own, they're not doing the best job. Yes, of course, you can say that Britain has its own political and economical difficulties, but I think to try and compare and contrast the two, one very clearly comes out ahead. And this isn't just me saying this. This is the Afghanis saying this by voting with their feet, by leaving Afghanistan to come over to England. So you might think, well, okay, you'll have some people who have national pride, and therefore they're patriots, and they want to make their country great and the best that it can be, and on the world stage and be a world beater, and that is what they want to do, and do the best that they can for their country. And of course, we fully understand that nationalist sentiment. By all means, go ahead. And therefore, you don't want foreign countries trying to push their way in, and you don't want militants from other countries trying to force their way in to assert their culture over yours. I understand that completely. And then you've also got the second type, which is to say, I don't think my country's doing so well. I was quite unfortunate with where I was born. I've looked on the globe, I've looked through the encyclopedia, the atlas, whatever it might be, or just the internet, and decided that this country is actually something that holds values that I do as well. And this is a country which is ideal for the kind of person I am, and I have much greater kinship towards this country, and I would like to be a citizen of that country and do what I can in order to make that country great, because I feel more at home there, and that is where I want to be. I want to contribute to that country so that when it becomes immensely successful, either again or just sometime in the future, I will know that I was partly responsible because these guys are looking out for me, and I want to look out for them as well because our values are the best. And I understand that completely. Then you got the third type, who was saying, our country's great, but it's not as good as this other country, so we're going to go there, but not because we like that country, but because we will reluctantly admit that they're doing a far better job, but we can't keep them doing a far better job because we want to continue our ways of living into this country that doesn't support our way of living, as is reflected by them doing a much better job than our country. And that is where you get the Afghanis here celebrating the Afghanistan Independence Day from Britain, within Britain. And it's the same place, again, you would say it's the diverse place, but maybe it's not so diverse. Maybe it's just one particular ethnic group. That's not diverse. That's very homogenous. So Cowley Mile, clues in the name, or Rosham, is very Middle Eastern. That's not diverse. And of course, north of the city, then you've got Cheetham as well, which the Daily Mail itself said was the most diverse street in Britain a few years ago. But then you'd be wanting to look down at Dudley Road in Birmingham. Not for the diversity, but just for the South Asians or Middle Easterners. So this time around, hundreds spilled onto one of the city's busiest streets where they partied last night, so same again. The Wilmslow Road revellers have been scolded by both their councillor and MP, same again. Manchester has a local lockdown limiting outdoor gatherings to 6 people. Same again. No arrests were made. Same again. Police were called out. Same again. And I noted in the last video that was sentiment that, under Islam, taqiyya exists, which is that they will lie in order to further their religion. Therefore, even if you have the MPs and the councillors speaking out against it, if they're not actually taking action, then you can't trust what they say, because they're going to say that in order to further their stranglehold of the country that they find themselves in, or the civilization that they find themselves in, exactly like Muhammad did during his lifetime. And then, when they have reached a critical mass and can overthrow the ruling body, they will do that, and very violently as well. If you go through the Quran, I know David Wood from Act 17 Apologetics goes into great detail about this as well, that earlier in the Quran are the peaceful verses where Muhammad is saying, oh, you shouldn't kill people, no, it's all okay, let's keep people happy and safe, because he was being persecuted at that time from the pagans, essentially, and trying to say, no, we're all peaceful and loving, and you should be as well. And then if you go into the later parts of the Quran, where he's then got more people and has greater power, then it becomes far more violent to say, oh yeah, you can strike the non-believers at the neck where you find them, and the rule for apostasy, as in leaving the religion, is death. So yes, you do kill people, no doubt about it, and don't feel bad about it. That's what Allah wants you to do. And so through the course of abrogation, which is to remove the older bits of the Quran to be replaced with the newer bits, because of course Muhammad himself was illiterate, and he would change his mind, let's put it that way, that you would go with the later statement to be the truer one, because as Muhammad himself said, that he actually believed what the devils were telling him instead of God and the angels, because when he had these visions, he couldn't tell if it was the devil or God, and it was only later on, when he had a new revelation given to him, which proved to be very useful at the time, always coming in at the right time, that if people brought him up and said, oh, but I thought you said that Allah said that we should do the opposite thing, he'd say, no, that was a devil, or the jinn, the devil speaking to me. So we can ignore that, because that wasn't actually what God wanted. And it makes you wonder that surely at some point the followers would say, yeah, Muhammad, I'm not trying to call you a false prophet or anything, but if you can't distinguish between the devil and God in order to tell you to do things, I'm not sure we can really trust you at all, because you can't tell the difference. So how are we supposed to know if we're doing what God wants us to do or what the devil wants us to do? And that is vitally important. But alas, it didn't happen. So, Wilmslow Road in Russia, known as Curry Mile for its array of South Asian cuisine restaurants, was shut only last week amid similar scenes for Pakistan Independence Day. Greater Manchester Police shut a stretch of the road between Dickinson Road and Moss Lane East while they dispersed the partygoers. After a spike in the infection rate, Greater Manchester was slapped back into a local lockdown, limiting outdoor gatherings to 6 people who must socially distance. Yes, do they care about it? No. Did the last warning coming out from the MP make any change? No, it didn't. So, was I a bit too quick to dismiss the concerns of taqiyya in the comments? Yes, I was. I was too optimistic. You're completely correct. As they say here, yesterday's brazen breach of restrictions were slammed by the Labour MP for Manchester Gorton, Afzal Khan, who underscored the risks, basically just repeating what he said before, but actually doing nothing about it. The police were there, again, doing nothing about it. You want to say these people are breaking the law and that therefore they should all be fined £100 or just reduced to £50, then by all means go ahead. But again, they're not doing it. But would you believe it? That, as we got here to quote, we don't mind people having celebrations, but under the pandemic emergency regulations, we are not supposed to congregate in such ways or have parties and things like that. In Manchester, we are a diverse community. And we have different languages, cultures, and faiths. Also morals and ethics. You might want to throw that bit in, or maybe you're just including that in the culture bit, because some cultures are superior. Ordinarily, there are about 60 or 70 celebrations of different cultures throughout the year, but we are not in 2018 or 19. We kind of have people flouting the rules. The message to the community is to please not congregate like this and hold back on any celebrations. I plead with people to just hold back. Which is not quite a statement you'd be looking for. You'd be looking to say, hey, we are diverse. Sure, if you want to say that. We're ethnically diverse, culturally diverse, if you wish, and to say, if you really believe into the coronavirus scares, then you would say, right, you few hundred people are endangering everybody else. These everybody else are also citizens of this area. They are also the people who voted for me, who I am representing, and therefore I also have to look out for. They vote for me, I look out for them, I'm a public servant. So I cannot allow you to flout these rules because you're endangering other people. And of course this goes further than just coronavirus because of the other behaviour that we've been seeing as well from these so-called celebrations, which again, the irony isn't lost on me to say, we're independent from Britain, so let's celebrate in Britain. What an idiot. But as the MP or councillor, whatever position you hold, being voted in, representing your constituents, you can't then be picking out a particular favoured group or two favoured groups. That is not how this works. And hey, we can only hope that it'll be destroyed at the ballot box. And if not, well, obviously we could look into the election fraud that supports Labour a great deal through the mosques. Or maybe we should just rethink how all this so-called multiculturalism is working. But I think I'm preaching to the choir on that bit. I think this is just more evidence, as if you needed any, that this whole experiment really isn't working. And in fact, I will agree with Angela Merkel that multiculturalism has failed. There you go, we will agree on one thing. Probably only one thing, that multiculturalism has failed. So yes, I agree, Angela Merkel. How about if the UK citizens want to trust in the EU, then you can lead the way and follow through on that and stop it. And then there might be more support over here. Because we all know that they're not reasoning from first principles. It's just the appeal to authority. But we'll do what we can as a more grassroots effort to get the news out, to let people know what is happening, to understand that assimilating isn't happening, and diversity is not a strength. It's what tears societies apart. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. Read all the comments, always do. And as always, until next time, have a good one.